In the dark halls of the Galactic Council, powerful alien leaders sat around a glowing table. Their faces were calm, their voices full of pride. A tall, silver-skinned being stood up. His name was Charon, one of the high speakers. He raised his hand and said, "Let it be recorded. Earth is now tamed." The room nodded in agreement. Earth, once loud with human rebellion, had gone silent. Cities were burned. No human signal had been heard in over 50 years. No ships. No movement. Just silence. The galaxy believed it was over, but they were wrong. Far away, on the cold, broken planet called Earth, something ancient moved in the darkness. Under miles of ice and ash, deep beneath an old mountain base, red lights blinked to life. "Cryo unit active," a robotic voice whispered. "Awakening, Unit Fenrir." Inside large cryopods, figures began to stir. Muscles twitched. Hearts beat again. Eyes opened, glowing gold in the shadows. These were not normal humans. They were the last of Project Fenrir, the WOLFPAK. Half human, half beast. They were built for war. Stronger than soldiers. Faster than machines. Designed for the final fight, the one that never came. Until now, suspense builds. The leader woke up first. His name was Commander Vex. Tall, powerful, with scars across his face, Vex stepped out of the pod. Steam rose around him. His sharp yellow eyes scanned the room. "How long have we slept?" he asked. The AI answered, 67 years. Earth was declared conquered. The Council erased all human records. Vex looked down, his fists clenched. The others were waking up now, 6 in total. Each one a warrior. Each one angry. The silence of Earth wasn't peace. It was waiting. World reveal. The base was cold and broken, but still alive. Flickering lights showed ruined maps, broken armor, and old war trophies. A message blinked on the main screen. It was a council broadcast still playing on loop. Earth has been tamed. Humanity is no longer a threat. Their spirit is broken. The planet is now safe for expansion. Vex stared at the screen. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. Then, slowly he smiled, not with joy, but with something darker. "They think we're broken," he said. "They forgot what wolves do when cornered." First sign of action outside the base. A small alien scout drone hovered in the sky. It had been flying over Earth, scanning for signs of life. Suddenly, it picked up heat, movement. Before it could send a warning, something jumped out of the snow. Fast, silent, crack, metal crushed. Silence again. Vex stood over the broken drone. Snow on his shoulders, eyes glowing in the dark. He looked up at the gray sky. "They think Earth belongs to them. Let's remind them who we are." Meanwhile, in the council, back in the council chamber, alarms began to beep. Unexpected. Signal detected. Earth, origin unknown. The council members looked at each other, confused. "That's impossible," one said. "Earth has no active tech." They stared at the screen. A single message appeared in human code. "We are not tamed." Closing scene. Back on Earth, the 6 wolves stood in formation outside the base. Snow fell slowly around them. Each carried old weapons, sharpened, upgraded, still deadly. They did not talk much. Wolves don't need many words. Commander Vex looked at his team and said only this: "We were made for the last battle. Now it's time to begin it." The camera zooms out slowly, showing Earth's ruined surface, and 6 deadly shadows walking into the cold. The hunt had begun. The wind over Earth was cold, but not silent anymore. Deep in the frozen wastelands, far from the Council's eyes, the last wolves had opened their eyes, and they remembered everything. Commander Vex stood in the center of the ruined command room. The old screens flickered. Behind him, glowing green with ancient data. Dust floated in the air. Ice cracked with every step. The base had survived because it was hidden. carved inside a forgotten mountain, protected by tech even the Council couldn't find. But the time for hiding was over. One by one, the Wolfpack came back to life. Meet the team. Character introduction. 1. Rourke, heavy weapons, strong as a tank. Quiet, loyal. His first words after waking, "Is the war over?" Vex looked at him and replied, "No, it just began." 2. Sable, fast, silent. A scout and sniper. Eyes like a hawk, mind like a blade. She scanned the base in seconds. Systems. 60% functional, she said, then added, "That's enough for us." 3. Grim, communications expert. Cyber brain implants. He tapped into the Council's surveillance network using just a broken console and a knife. "They're watching Earth," he said. "But they're not ready." 4. Drax and Nira, twin warriors. Feral, fearless, full of rage. They finished each other's sentences. Drax, "They ended our people." Nira, "So we'll end theirs." And then, there was Vex, their leader. Their alpha, the last voice of old Earth's command. He looked at each of them and said, "We were built for the end. But this is our beginning." The mystery of the signalgram played back a strange message. It wasn't human. Not fully. It had come from deep space. An encrypted alert, bouncing between satellites. Someone or something had activated it. It said, "Project Fenrir. Status, leave. Earth's final guardians, active." The wolves were never supposed to wake unless Earth faced true extinction. Someone had triggered that call. But who? Vex, maybe a survivor, maybe a failsafe, maybe fate. Rourke, doesn't matter, we're up now. Suiting up, the transformation scene. The Wolfpack entered the old armory. Dust covered the lockers. Cobwebs hung like banners of a forgotten time. But inside, their gear waited. Black, silver, and red. Hardened armor, clawed gauntlets, face masks, energy blades, each piece made for their DNA. The pack suited up, metal locked. Power cells buzzed. Eyes glowed brighter. The transformation was complete. They were no longer just soldiers. They were Earth's last answer. Enemy near Sable picked up a faint sound. Not human. Not natural. A drone. Council dash made. It flew low, scanning, looking for movement. It shouldn't have found anything. Earth was supposed to be dead, but it stopped. Something had triggered its sensors. Before it could react, an EMP dart cut through the air. It dropped like a stone. Shattered in the snow. Grim hacked it instantly. His hands moved fast. It already sent a ping. They'll know something moved. Vex didn't flinch. Let them come. A new objective. The drone held coordinates. It came from a forward Council outpost, just outside the atmosphere, a small station. "Watching Earth. They've been spying on us," said Nira. "Time to blind them," said Drax. Commander Vex walked to the main HOLO-table. He looked down at the spinning map of Earth. Then he tapped the Council station's location. It zoomed in, locked. Mission 1, silence the sky. Emotional moment. Before leaving, the wolves stood near a broken memorial wall. Names were carved into it. Scientists, soldiers, civilians. All gone. Rourke placed his palm on the stone. "They forgot us." Vex replied, "We didn't forget them." They stood for one silent moment. Then one by one, they turned and marched to the launch bay. Final scene cliffhanger. As the door opened, wind howled inside. Snow blew into the base. 6 shadows walked out into the storm, fully armed, fully awake. Above them, the stars waited. In the darkness, Earth's revenge was coming. Above Earth, the Galactic Council's outpost floated quietly in low orbit. It was small, a scout station with only 10 guards. Built to watch, not fight. Inside, alien officers relaxed. They sipped glowing drinks and laughed. "Earth is silent now," one said. "No humans, no threat, only dust. But outside their windows, something moved. A rival the sky rippled. Clouds shifted. Then boom. A black, ancient Earth drop pod tore through the atmosphere, burning like fire. It moved fast, too fast. The council officers stood up, confused. What was that? One rushed to a control panel. It's not ours. Unknown origin. Human signature. The officer laughed. Humans are extinct. But as he said it, the lights in the station went dark. Inside the drop pod, Commander Vex stood calm as the pod rattled around him. His eyes glowed through the dark. His armor hummed softly. Around him were Sable, Grim, Drax, Nira, and Rourke, the full pack ready for the first strike. We get in. No noise. No mercy. Sable loaded her rifle. Like old times. Grim whispered, "Let's make history remember us." Silent infiltration. Pod crashed into the side of the station like a spear. Not loud, controlled, surgical. A small explosion. A breach. Before the alarms fully sounded, the wolves were inside. Vex moved like a shadow, silent and precise. His claws ripped through the first guard's armor like paper. Sable vanished into the vents, picking off enemies from the dark with sniper shots so clean they left no sound. Grim disabled comms. No one could call for help. Rourke used his brute strength to punch through bulkheads, taking down defenses. Drax and Nira were chaos, spinning, jumping, tearing through squads with wild rage. Within 90 seconds, half the station was dead. Fear spreads. A council officer hid under a table, shaking. He whispered into a recorder. They said Earth was dead. But there are monsters here. Fast, silent, human. But not human. Another guard tried to escape in a shuttle. He never made it. Sable shot through the glass window before he could even press the launch button. The message, the control room, was the final point. One officer remained. A blue-skinned alien named Krell. He tried to burn the data core, erase everything. But before he could finish, a clawed hand grabbed him from behind and slammed him to the floor. It was Vex. He stared into the alien's eyes. "You thought Earth was conquered?" he growled. "Earth doesn't die. It waits." Vex activated the comms, not to hide, but to speak. He opened a live feed to the nearest council battle group. A shadowed figure appeared on their screens. "To the Galactic Council. This is not a rebellion. This is not revenge. This is a reminder. You didn't tame Earth. You only made it angry." Then he dropped the alien's body at the camera and cut the signal. Explosion and escape. The wolves planted charges around the station. As they escaped in a stolen council ship, the outpost exploded behind them, a bright, burning warning sign in orbit. From the stars, it looked like a star. Dying. Earth had spoken. Back at the council, panic hit the chambers of the Galactic Council. Reports flew in. Unknown attackers. Human tech detected. Elite squad lost in orbit. Some laughed. Others looked afraid. One council member whispered, "Project Fenrir. It was real?" Another said, "If Earth still fights, we must end it completely." But they were too late. The wolves were already preparing for their next move. Final scene, emotional touch on the stolen ship. Vex stood alone. He looked out the window at Earth's ruined surface. "That was just the first bite," he said. Behind him, Sable spoke softly. "They thought we were ghosts. Now we're nightmares." The Galactic Council had been silent for hours. The destruction of their orbital station above Earth shocked them. Dozens dead, a full facility gone. No warning, no survivors. The Council called it a terrorist act, but in secret. They knew the truth. "It's the humans," said one leader. "The wolves, they're real." Panic turned into anger. The Council issued a command: send the hunters. Enter the alien elite in a cold hangar far from Earth. 6 tall alien soldiers stood in formation. Their armor was dark red. Their eyes emotionless. They were not ordinary troops. They were silencers, Elite killers trained to eliminate high-threat species. No words, no mistakes. Just execution. Their leader was called Threx, a cybernetic warlord who had hunted rebels across 100 systems. He received the file on the Wolfpack. He smiled. Humans are just animals. We know how to break animals. He didn't understand. Not yet. The trap is set. The silencers flew to Earth with speed and stealth. They didn't drop from orbit like the wolves. They came like shadows. They scanned ruined cities, forests, underground systems. Then, heat signatures. A signal, Wolfpack movement. They moved in fast. False trail. The signal led them to a deep canyon. Once a human military test site. It looked empty. Dead. But the tech was alive. Hidden in the rocks were signal beacons, playing loops of Wolfpack energy. The silencers spread out. Then, the ground moved. Boom. A trapdoor exploded. Gas filled the air. Before the aliens could react, Sable's shot cracked the sky, clean through a helmet. 1 down. 5 to go. Threx shouted, "Ambush! Stay sharp!" But it was too late. Drax and Nero leaped from the shadows like shadows with claws, fast, wild, roaring with rage. For the fallen. They screamed together, one by one. Grim. Hacked. There comes, jamming their vision. Rourke dropped a boulder on one from above, crushing him instantly. Sable shot from high ground. Every bullet a silent whisper of death. Commander Vex waited until Threx was alone. Hunter versus Alpha. Threx breathed heavily, backing into an open space. His suit was damaged. His pride broken. He turned. Vex stood there, calm, powerful. "You hunted us," said Vex. "Now learn what it means to be hunted." Threx screamed and charged with a plasma blade. Vex dodged, grabbed his arm, snapped it. The alien fell to the ground, coughing. "We're not animals," Vex whispered. "We're justice." He looked up at the council drone still watching, floating silently nearby. "Send more if you want. We'll send them back in pieces." Then he crushed the drone under his boot. Council's fear grows back in the council chamber. The silence was heavier than before. No word from the silencers. Their feed had ended. All signs pointed to failure. One young alien commander stood up shaking. "They were the best we had." An elder spoke coldly. "Then Earth has become something worse than wild. It has become dangerous." Wolfpacks. Message in the canyon. The wolves gathered again, around them. Burning alien armor and wreckage told the story. Grim hacked into the council's military channels. A message played galaxy-wide. "To those who watch, to those who think Earth is weak, you sent your best. They are gone. We don't run. We don't hide. We hunt. We are the Wolfpack, and we are coming." Final scene. Foreshadowing as the message spread, small resistance. Groups on distant planets began to listen. Humans in hiding lifted their heads. Hope flickered. Back on Earth, the stars above seemed a little brighter, but Vex looked out and whispered, "This isn't over. The Council will send worse." Sable stood beside him. "Let them." The stars remembered silence. But now, they were whispering again. The message from Earth traveled far. Through old satellites, forgotten codes, pirate channels, and broken comms. It echoed through deep space, raw and clear. "You sent your best. They are gone. We are the Wolfpack, and we are coming." At first, many didn't believe it. Earth was dead. Or so they were told, but then survivors began to rise, sparks in the shadows in the mining colonies of Jara 7. A group of hidden humans heard the signal. Their leader, a tired woman named May, cried when she heard Vex's voice. "They're alive," she whispered. "The wolves survived." She stood up. "Then it's time we stop hiding." Elsewhere, in a prison camp on Delta Prime, an old soldier passed the message in code. "The pack has returned." Small groups began to gather. Disconnected. Scattered. But hopeful. Hope is dangerous. And the Council felt it. The Council reacts inside a massive golden tower. The High Council met in rage. "The humans are infecting the galaxy with defiance," shouted one alien leader. "If their voice spreads, the people will turn." "Then we must burn Earth completely," another said. "No remains, no myths, no memory." They approved Operation Silence, a full-scale planetary strike. No more spies, no more hunting. This time, they would erase Earth forever. Earth prepares. The Wolfpack knew this was coming. In the shadows of Earth's ruined cities, they built quietly. Grimm reactivated old satellites. Sable mapped Council movement. Rourke trained resistance fighters in hand-to-hand. Drax and Nira led patrols through the deep tunnels. Commander Vex stood at the edge of an ancient launch site. Crumbling rockets, rusted steel. But something still strong in the ground. He turned to the pack. "They're coming to silence us, so we speak louder." The voice of Earth. Vex stood before an old war relic, a transmission tower once used for global messages. Grimm powered it, up using salvaged energy cores. Vex placed his hand on the console. A deep hum started. Live feed. Open broadcast. He spoke not with anger, but with clarity. "To every system that remembers Earth, we were not perfect, but we never knelt. The Council called us animals. We became wolves. If you still believe in freedom, in fire, in fight, rise. We stand, and we will never fall again." Ripples through the galaxy. The message spread faster than expected. On a trading ship near the red moons of Grax, 2 alien workers heard it and shut down their Council beacon. "Maybe the humans were right," one said. "Maybe it's time to choose a side." On Venari 5, a half-human orphan painted a red wolf symbol on a wall. Below it, she wrote, "We are still here. Council strike begins, but hope has a price." The Council's fleet, hundreds of ships, began to move. Massive carriers, planet burners, death from orbit, their path, Earth. Operation Silence had begun. Wolfpack stands tall back at base. The sky above Earth changed. Stars began to blink. Not because they disappeared, but because something big blocked them. Vex and the pack stood on a cliff, looking up. "They brought the whole fleet," said Rourke. "Let them," said Sable. Vex narrowed his eyes. "They want silence. We'll give them thunder." Final moments, rising tension underground. Resistance forces gathered. Old tech turned back on. Missiles loaded. Shields rebooted. Earth, scarred, broken, but alive, was ready to speak in the only language the Council would understand. Fire. The wolves stood side by side. Not as soldiers. Not as survivors, but as symbols. Asterisk. The sky above Earth had changed. It no longer showed stars. It showed warships, thousands of them. A dark wall of metal, slowly crawling across space. The Galactic Council had sent everything. Carriers, destroyers, drones, planet burners. A full army strike. Operation Silence had begun. Their goal, erase Earth, forever. Their mistake, believing Earth would not fight back. Earth's heart beats again, deep underground. The last launch bay lit up. Old lights blinked. Rusted platforms moved. Engines coughed back to life. Grimm stood at the center console, fingers flying across the controls. Weapons online. Shields at 40%. Enough to make noise. Sable watched the radar. Enemy fleet incoming in 3 waves. Commander Vex nodded. Calm. Focused. Let them come. The Wolfpack stood at the edge of the launch gate. 6 shadows in full armor, glowing with ancient fire. Outside, Earth began to hum. Old weapons, new resistance. One last stand. The first strike. The Council fleet moved into formation. One ship fired a warning shot, a massive plasma bolt meant to scare. But Earth didn't flinch. Instead, a mountain opened. From inside, an anti-orbit cannon, thought destroyed, roared to life and launched a blazing energy spear into the sky. Direct hit. One Council carrier shattered like glass. Fire and smoke filled the atmosphere. The Wolfpack watched from below. That's for our cities. said Rourke. That's for our people, added Nira. That's just the beginning, Vex said. The wolves lead Vex and the pack launched in small, fast strike pods, old Earth tech, now upgraded by Grimm's hacks. They weaved through enemy fire like comets, landing aboard a command cruiser. They tore through alien defenses, no mercy. No sound, only motion. Each Wolf moved like a blade. Sable's sniping, Rourke's raw strength, Grimm's tech sabotage, Drax and Nira's chaos. And Vex, the silent storm. The cruiser went dark within minutes. That's one. They moved again. The galaxy watches across the stars. Hidden humans, exiles, slaves, and rebels tuned into hacked feeds. They saw the impossible. Earth fighting back, not with numbers, not with fleets, but with 6 warriors and a burning spirit. People began to rise. On moon bases, on mining colonies, on forgotten worlds. The red wolf symbol appeared everywhere. Spray dash painted, glowing, tattooed, alive. The galaxy had a new anthem. We are the pack. Council in chaos on the main command ship. The council's leaders screamed at each other. They're hitting key ships. Resistance is spreading. Their people are fighting again. One tried to flee. Another shouted, we should have finished Earth a century ago. Too late. The wolves were already aboard. Final blow. Vex reached the command core. Guards rushed him. He didn't stop. Didn't speak. Sable covered him. Grimm shut down defenses. Drax and Nira cleared the halls. Vex reached the council general, a tall alien wrapped in glowing armor. He looked into its eyes. You called us broken. You called us tame. You called us finished. Then he whispered, you were wrong, and drove a plasma blade through its heart. A sky on fire. Council ships exploded one by one. Fighters fled. Officers abandoned stations. Above Earth, the sky burned red. But Earth still stood. Alive, angry, unbroken. The wolves returned. The pack returned to Earth. Smoke still rose. Fires still burned. But the people, human and alien allies, stood taller. Children wore wolf symbols. Veterans saluted. Survivors cried. Commander Vex walked past them all. He didn't need words. His presence said everything. They had survived. They had fought. They had won. The war was over. The smoke was gone. And for the first time in generations, Earth was breathing again. The Council's fleet was destroyed, its leaders scattered. The silence they wanted for Earth had become their own fate. But Earth, scarred, cracked, burned, still stood, not as a victim. As a survivor. The aftermath. Ruins of cities now echoed with voices again. Children ran through old streets, laughing. Families, once hiding in bunkers, walked under open skies. Resistance fighters became builders. The red wolf symbol was everywhere. Painted on walls, sewn into clothes. Worn with pride. It no longer meant just soldiers. It meant hope. The final march of the packing, a quiet valley once used for testing weapons. 6 figures walked together, the last time as one. Commander. Vex stood still and looked up at the mountains. No armor. No weapons. Just silence, wind, and peace. One by one, the Wolfpack came forward. Rourke would stay and help build a new defense. Grimm would guide the reborn communication network. Sable planned to train a new generation of snipers and scouts. Drax. And Nira, always wild, always bold, left to hunt the last Council outlaws hiding in distant corners. And Vex. He looked tired. He had led Earth's last war. Now, he wanted no more battles, a statue and a promise in the center of New Terra, the capital rising from the ruins. A monument was built. It showed 6 wolves standing in formation. At the base, a single line was carved. We were not tamed. We remembered who we are. Every child in school would learn the story. Every planet once under Council rule would hear the legend, not of victory, but of resistance. Of the day Earth stood when no one else did. The message lives on. Grimm built a broadcast tower, the same one used by Vex during the war. Once a Year on the date of the final battle, the tower plays one message. To those who feel forgotten. To those who were told to kneel. Remember Earth. Remember the wolves. Rise if you dare. Quiet goodbye one morning. Vex stood at the edge of the forest. He looked back at the world he helped save. He wore no badge, no rank. Just quiet eyes and a steady heart. Sabu met him one last time. Going alone? She asked. He nodded. The war is over. It's time to live, she smiled. You earned that. He walked into the trees. And the wind carried his steps like a whisper. Final narration, voiceover style. The council fell not by numbers, but by will. By wolves who refused to forget what it meant to fight for home. And now, Earth is not just alive, it leads. Final scene. Generational echo years later. A child walks past the statue in New Terra. He looks up at the figures. His father stands beside him. Were they real? The boy asks, the man smiles. They were more than real. They were the reason we're still here.